Yo, what is up YouTube? Suddy back at you with another video. Today we're going to be doing how to make a thumbnail like I did. Hopefully I did that right. For my last video. I'm actually recording this a couple hours after the past video released. So release that on Saturday. Hopefully this will come out Sunday. Told you I'm going to try to get more videos out, and I saw a comment saying do one on how to make a thumbnail. So that's what we're going to do. Apologize for the lighting. It's a little bit darker out right now. I'm going to try to be able to get a more consistent setup here for filming, so I can get onto the YouTube grind. But anyways, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop. So first thing, thumbnail is going to be 1920 by 1080. That's just like the standard thumbnail size, desktop size. I usually use 300 ppi just because that's standard high quality. So basically, first thing I like to do, obviously, is put in your picture. So as you can see here, I did this like 30 seconds before I turned the camera on. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the select and mask. I like to do cloud just because detailed results, it tends to be a little bit better. You could test each out because it's not always going to be better with the cloud. But then you're going to go ahead and select subject, and it does a pretty good job. What I like to do though is I go down to shift edge, and I'll go down to around -20. And then I'll increase the contrast to about 20%, and then I increase the smooth to around 10. That just kind of adjusts the outline a little bit, so it'll take away the little edges on my shoulders. It might still leave some. No, this did a pretty good job. Damn, that is a dark picture. Okay. But that's what Camera Raw is for. So that's the next thing I like to do. I like to go to filter, Camera Raw. Make sure you have a smart object just so you can go back and change things. Makes your life a lot easier so you're not doing it permanently. So this might be a little bit too dark. Obviously, if you can help it, try to get it lighter. So we're gonna increase the contrast quite a bit. Highlights I like to bring up, and then the whites. I happen to be wearing white in this video and the last video, so it works out perfectly. Shadows up a bit. See, if you don't have a picture that's as dark, it'll be a lot higher quality when you do this. As you can see, I'm kind of a little grainy just because of how dark it is in here. Apologies again, I'll get on that. If anybody has any tips for what I could do for like an easy lighting setup, definitely let me know, because I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest. So back to this. I usually like to increase the noise reduction, especially since I am in a pretty dark room. You're gonna get that grain, so just kind of take away that grain a little bit. Color noise, again, I usually turn that up no matter what, because with the way I do player treatment or any treatment on people, you're not gonna want color noise, and it might take away some of the detail that you want, but I add it back anyway, so it's okay. And then sharpening, that's kind of up to you. I'll usually increase it a little bit. But then for the color mixer, I will usually bring down the oranges and the yellows to the left. This one, maybe not so much, just because my hat is red. It also doesn't help that I have a red light behind me. But definitely bring the yellows all the way down. And then let's see. It's not picking up green, even though it looks a little green. So I think this is pretty good. That's the before, and then that's the after. I'd say that's significantly better. So we're gonna go ahead and click OK. So the next thing I'll do is I will kind of look at the mask, make sure it has everything and there's no extra things. So as you can see here, like my glasses, it's cutting off the edge a little bit here. Maybe not. Maybe I just, yeah, something like that. And then it's gotta take away, it left in the little part of the glasses that isn't covered by my face. So we'll just go ahead, we'll use the pen tool. I really only use the pen tool if it's a small selection, because I can't be asked to fully pen tool myself out every single time. or player, whatever it may be. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Might speed this up, but it's also a pretty quick process. So here we go. So like here, I'm gonna use just a brush just because it's kind of weird for a pen tool. I feel like it'd take too long. All right, so there, now I'm fully cut out. So first thing I like to do is desaturate your whites, please. Please, please, please. It is the easiest way to make something clean, have a clean look. Watch, I'll show you right here. Just clip a mask using the Alt or Option key, hover between the two layers. So it has this little arrow, it's clipped. Bring the saturation all the way down, press Command or Control I on the mask to invert it. I already did that. And so now you're gonna use a white brush and just desaturate just like that. It's a little tricky with my chains, because otherwise you'd be able to just make one nice clean swoop there. But you know, take your time. I'll start here, and then I will probably end up fast forwarding just to get this. One tip I have is if you're getting close to something else, use a softer brush. So what I mean by that is bring down the hardness to 0, zoom in, and then start brushing, because if you use a hard brush, you're gonna kind of get a weird line there. It just makes it a little bit easier. It gives you a little bit more leeway to make mistakes. And again, you're using a mask, so mistakes really aren't mistakes. You can just go back and change it. It's like using a dry erase board, like back in school. If you make a mistake, you can just erase it. It's not like a piece of paper, it's permanent if you're using a pen. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward through the rest of this, but I will be back with you shortly. Okay, so now I have my sweater fully desaturated. Another thing I'll desaturate is the whites of the eyes. If you look at any big YouTubers thumbnails, they usually do this. It just kind of makes it stand out more. And the whole goal is to kind of make it look a little unrealistic, just because that's more eye-catching than just like a photo. So obviously I'm not gonna look like the final picture, but it's a little more fun. As you can see, definitely I need to tone down my skin. I'm not that orange, I promise. But at the same time, it's that realism. My last thumbnail, I was quite orange, but yeah, we can get to that. But so what I do now is I'll do my little player treatment. So I add a brightness contrast adjustment layer, set the blend mode to luminosity, and then I will increase it to around like 180, 100. Invert that layer, and then I will put usually around 15-20% for the flow, and then make sure your brush hardness is at 0%, because it's gonna look stupid if you have harsh lines going on. But then you're just gonna kind of start painting over where you would have highlights. Again, the quality, because of the lack of lighting in here, is quite poor, so a lot of the highlights and shadows kind of got killed. So I'm kind of to a point just kind of guessing where they would be. But usually like the nose, the lips, the cheeks, those are kind of gonna be your main areas, because that's where light genuinely hits first. But so we're just gonna do a little bit of that. And I mean, you can do like the fingers too. Make sure you're on a white brush. White shows, black hides. Just kind of get a little bit of something like this. And then you're gonna do the exact same thing. Another brightness contrast layer. Clip it, luminosity. But this time you're gonna go down to like around -100. That might be too much. We will see. But the great thing about adjustment masks or adjustment layers is that you can change it And so now instead of going over the highlights, I'm going over the shadows. Of course, you know, you gotta make the jawline pop even more than it does. But yeah, so like under the neck here, just kind of make it a little bit darker. Something like that. We'll go between the lip, under the lips. Just gives it just more of a three-dimensional effect, which is definitely what you want, because the whole point of a thumbnail is to get the viewer to click on it. And would you rather click on something that's, again, just like a normal picture and just kind of boring, or something exciting and, you know, at least looks like it took time to make it? Regardless if it's good or not, if it took time, people are more likely to probably click on it. So I look very cartoony. Yes. But so what I'm gonna do to fix that, I'm just gonna go over some of these creases here in my shirt. But what I'm gonna do to fix that is I'm gonna use a solid fill color layer set to the color blend mode, because basically what that does is it literally just changes the color. So it's a good way to, even if in any of your other designs, if something's a little bit off the coloring, this is a great way, and I'll show you. So go solid color. I'm just gonna put white for now. Clip it. Here, let's do. Let's see. First of all, we're gonna get a skin tone that's kind of like my skin tone. I mean, these are all kind of dark for me. But okay. So then you're gonna go color. Again, invert it. And now I just paint over my skin. Oh, make sure your flow is back up to 100. I'm just gonna paint over my skin. Give it all one, especially where there's like lighting there. That's actually a great tip, is that where like there's lighting of colors that you don't necessarily want. Like on my previous thumbnail when I had the lime green hat and I had the red highlight coming from the light back there, I had a red thing on my hat, but you didn't see it because I used the color blend mode to make it green again. This is honestly something I haven't used too much, and I'm going to use it a lot more because it's extremely helpful. Very underrated tool. Not enough people are talking about it, to be honest. But even like here under my hat, it gives me kind of more of a red look because of the hat. So we're just gonna kind of adjust that. Something like that. And then maybe get my hands. So right now the color, a little bit weird. I'm gonna put it under the hue saturation layer because there's some spots down here I don't necessarily want it. So yeah, something like this. And again, the beauty about the adjustment layer is that you can change the color. So like that looks horrible, right? So now we can kind of go and change it a little bit. You almost have to make it a little bit orange, because otherwise it's a weird color. And it's not a skin color, it's just it's an Oompa Loompa look. But what I will probably do here is add a hue saturation layer, turn down the saturation a bit, and then use the same god damn, look at that. That is awful. The lips definitely need some adjusting here. The hue saturation on the lips, bring those down a bit. And then honestly, maybe this is the dark, so then we will maybe get rid of that top little lip part as well, because that kind of just brings too much. But again, so we're gonna probably maybe bring down the color adjustment a little bit. See, even without it, it's not that much different. It just kind of blends the colors a little bit better. But again, you can like mess around with it. I'm kind of doing this quickly so I can just do it for the video. But maybe a little bit more. No. Maybe honestly we'll make it. There we go. That's not too bad. That's acceptable. Okay. I hope. So then I will just group all this together, select all of them, Command or Control G, and then I'll just make it a little bit bigger. Make sure it fits the whole screen. Then I'll kind of just put me over there. And then what I like to do is I will duplicate that image of me and then delete the layer mask so you get the background back. And then it doesn't usually fill just the way I take the pictures. Then I'll duplicate it, and then we will do something like that. It's not perfect, but it's gonna be fine because it's gonna end up getting blended out anyway. So we will rasterize those. And so now for this one, I'm gonna go with the red theme because red hat. So I will just use a red layer, and I will put this one on color. And so I think this is definitely gonna need a little bit of a blur. You can see there's a hell of a lot of grain. But what you can do first is make a selection of your outline, then go to select, modify, expand, and probably do like 10 to 15 just so it kind of gets a little bit bigger around you. And then press M on the keyboard, or you can click on the marquee tool and go back to the background layer, right click, and then do content aware fill. And so what it does, gets rid of you. If you're using the Photoshop beta, you can do the generative fill, and it'll generate a background probably better than the regular Photoshop does. So you can do that. But I have the beta, I just haven't used it for this. And then so now you don't get that extra bit around you because you're no longer in the background picture. But we're gonna blur it a little bit, and then I think I'm gonna add a little bit of an exposure adjustment layer just to bring it down a bit, just so I stand out a little bit more in the foreground. Something like that looks pretty good. Then I'll go back to the layer of me, and I like to do this on a lot of my player retouches, is I will add an inner glow. I like mine on overlay, 100% opacity, and then size, usually around 10. But because this is a smaller file than I usually work on, probably make it like a 5, just so there's a little bit of an outline, but it's not, one of those white stroke outlines, like a comic or cartoon. And so then I usually like to add a white glow around any part that's white just to really make it stand out. So I'll just take a soft brush underneath on a new layer, just kind of tap around where there is white. Especially with that inner glow that I just added, it looks really, really nice. And then what I'll do is I'll add another one, make it bigger, and then like something like that. And then I'll put that one actually behind, maybe like 50%. Yeah, so it's not too overpowering. I hate this new this little bar that Photoshop has. It's always in the way. That actually might be blocked by the camera anyway, so you might not see that. But so here you're basically very close to done. Again, a lot of this is stuff that you can do. It's kind of personal choice. But what I like to do is I have like a set color correction I use on almost all of my stuff. So here is the thumbnail that I've been talking about. So we're just gonna copy the CC from that. It depends. I mean, it low-key makes it look a little bit worse, but like, it's up to you. I might change that one, get rid of that one, just so I'm not super orange. And then here you can literally just go ahead and add your text. So how to make a thumbnail For fonts, I'm trying to remember, what did I use? I used Champion HTF featherweight font, but I think that's one of my top rank fonts, so I'm not sure if that's like available for people to get, but we will do something like that, and I'll bring down these. I might not use this font. It does work. I mean, you're gonna want a bold font that's easy to see, because at the end of the day, a thumbnail is that tiny little picture before you click on a video. So whatever is on your thumbnail, you're gonna need to be big, bright, and visible. So that's why you kind of exaggerate the colors, the eyes, and everything, so it's easier to see. It catches your eye, and so that's why you're gonna want to use a big, thicker font. And this isn't my favorite font by any means, but for time's sake, for time's sake, and just because I am already rambling a little too much on a thumbnail video, we're just gonna use it. So here you can, I like to keep everything one color theme, but it also might be beneficial not to do that, just because more colors, more attention, the easier it's gonna be for you to see. So I like to do this, a little bit of a red. As you can see, this one I did green, and then what I did was I just added a solid color layer, red, linear dodge, invert it, and then I did flow back to 10, and I'm just gonna kind of tap a couple times just to add like some slight glow there around the text, just to make it look a little bit more glowy. And then, you can add other pictures. I was thinking about possibly adding this thumbnail on it. I just think it'd be a little too much. Maybe not. We'll test it out. Why not? Since I'm on the YouTube grind, we'll put full efforts here. So here's the PNG variant, and then we'll obviously make it a lot smaller. I have mixed feelings. I think the green is nice because, again, it adds just like a different, color. So like it's not just gonna be red, but it's tough because the all red looks very, very nice. But with that as well, it looks pretty nice too. But I feel like that's not needed because you'll be able to see this thumbnail, But yeah, this is pretty much all I'm gonna do. I think that's probably it for the thumbnail. One more thing I would like to say though is, here, let's save it. For right now, everything's been saving as a PSB. Let's just call it thumbnail. Yep. I'll just put it on my desktop for now. I'll have to reorganize it anyway. But so when you go to export this, export as, right now, okay, so this one actually works perfectly. It's only 1.7 megabytes because when you upload a thumbnail to YouTube, it has to be under 2 megabytes, and that green thumbnail was actually above 3 megabytes. So what I did was I opened up a new blank document. I made the PPI 70 PPI instead of 300, and then when I went to export it, I just did smaller file, 8-bit, and see it like halves it, the size of the file. And you might lose a little bit of quality. That's kind of the whole point of it. But at the same time, again, when it's that small, you're not going to notice that quality decrease, and it's kind of necessary because otherwise you won't have a thumbnail. But yeah, once you're done exporting, you're good to go. You can upload it to YouTube, and if these are for your own videos, or I've been seeing a lot on Twitter, a lot of people getting jobs as thumbnail designers, make a quick buck. I think it's very, very helpful, especially for the people that are hiring. They're looking for these types of thumbnails usually. But yeah, they're looking for a lot of these types of thumbnails, just something that's gonna engage the viewer, make somebody click on their video, and something nice to look at and very cohesive. But that is the thumbnail finished. All right, well, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. You'll be seeing this actual thumbnail used on this video, but I'm definitely gonna try to get more videos out. Probably gonna post this one tomorrow. Doesn't really matter for you guys, But again, if you have any comments of suggestions of what you'd like to see, definitely leave them down below. This is one of the first comments on my previous video, so I figured I'd just go ahead and get this out of the way. But if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.